There are more ways than ever to get your news, but what's news these days without a little opinion mixed in? We're separating fact from fiction and exploring media bias. That's today's BFD. Most news these days takes sides. Not my news, mine's fair and balanced. Unlike some liberal networks. Thing is, the American media got its start wearing its bias proudly on the sleeve of its topcoat. In the lead up to the Revolutionary War, political journalism meant page after page of anti-British vitriol. Slag off, Britain! We're gonna be America soon! After independence, these papers quickly switched gears to churn out propaganda against whatever political party their editor didn't like. Damn Federalists. Ugh. Journalists didn't even try to get objective until after World War I, when the truth on the ground was so at odds with government propaganda that papers had to do unbiased reporting or become a joke. Still today, the separation of news staff from editorial and opinion is as ingrained as church and state. But is that really true? The resurgence of openly partisan media in print, TV, and especially online says otherwise. Here to discuss is Kelly McBride, Senior Faculty for Ethics at the Poynter Institute. Thanks so much, Kelly, for being here.
You're welcome.
Is the media biased?
Some of the media is biased, and some of the media isn't biased, and sometimes certain types of media think they're not biased, but they really are.
Who decides the tone of the news? Is that a corporate decision, or who decides what gets reported?
Well, most of the time it is a corporate decision, and certainly you see organizations like Fox making a clear and deliberate choice to try and appeal to a certain demographic. MSNBC, the same thing on the other side. CNN is making a market-based decision where they want to get the middle of the market. Bias can creep in even in spite of those sort of corporate decisions. So you could have an individual reporter or a producer have a bias on a certain story. It might be a story about evolution or global warming or racism. And that bias can creep into a story in spite of some corporate directive to have the story have another type of bias.
Do you think that the media shapes our opinions, or do we seek out media sources that reflect the views that we already hold?
Well, it really depends on who you are. A certain part of the population does seek out information that reflects a certain political philosophy or worldview. The studies show that it's about 30% of the population, and that's actually remained steady since the late 1970s. Those numbers are self-reported, though, and they don't account for self-bias.
Is there a way for individuals to act as media watchdogs, and what would you recommend for someone seeking out a balanced diet of media?
Consume a lot of media and try and develop relationships with media organizations. Social media makes that so easy. Every media organization has an identity on Facebook, on Twitter. You can interact with those organizations on those platforms, and you can ask questions like, why did you choose this story? Or when you told that story, how come you didn't interview the other point of view? I think every responsible citizen should have 3 different sources of information that reflect a different viewpoint. So you might have your local newspaper, you might have a magazine, and you might have a broadcast program that all come from a different point of view.
Kelly McBride, thanks so much for being with us today. Very insightful.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
For BFD, I'm Joe Hartzler. Subscribe.